us to be surprised because God is that. If I'm not great with surprises. There was a surprise party here a while back, and Renata, my wife, was in charge of getting me on time there. And saying, we got to go out. We got to hurry up. We got to go. You got to hurry up. Come on, get ready. Don't. And I'm rushing to get out, to just go out wherever it is. And as I'm doing it, they call her up and say, we're not ready. Stall him. So I'm rushing, saying, let's go. Okay, all right, I'm ready. She says, there's no rush. I said, what do you mean there's no rush? You just said rush. She sits down and says, why don't we sit down? Let's spend some quality time together. It's like, okay, is that a mood change? What just happened? It's because she's trying to gear that surprise, and I get very suspicious. Okay, there's something going on. I'm not good with surprises, but the gospel is always a surprise. It's always to be surprising. Then it's God. To all those things. It's like when you read the Bible, there are times I read the Bible and I say, how did that get in there? I've read that again and again. I never saw that. And I said, it's not possible that could have gotten in there. I said, God, did you just slip that in? But it's because the word is surprising. Religiousness tends to be so much the opposite. We got everything down in the box. But God is the other way. It's like, people get saved, they have a little Bible study and everything is changing and they're alive, but then they get sophisticated after a while. Okay, I heard it, I know it, I'm in the Lord, and you lose that. And but that's not the grace of God. The grace of, in order to know the grace of God, you have to be surprised by it. Or else it's not the grace of God. The new covenant is called, we think it's the new covenant because it came after the other covenant. So we think it's the second covenant. That's why it's the new covenant. In other words, it's the newer covenant than the old one. It's the one that's newer than the old. That's not what it says there. It's not relative. It's absolute. The new covenant in Hebrew, Brit Hadashah. Try it. Brit Hadashah could mean the new covenant or the covenant of newness. Brit Hadashah. Hadashah means fresh. It doesn't mean the newer one. It means the fresh covenant. The new by its nature, it's always new. So what does it mean? It means it's always got to be new. Doesn't matter if you came to it 20 years ago, 40 years ago, it's got to be new or you're not in it. If the new covenant stops being new to you, what does it become? It becomes an old covenant. And that's how a lot of believers get under bondage where they should not be. It becomes a thing of letter. Okay, I'm doing this, but it's not the heart anymore. New covenant in the heart, new, and there it's in your heart. And if you live it, hey, I gave my life to the Lord then. That's not it. New means every day it's new. So it doesn't matter. The longer you've been in the Lord, the newer you should be in it. I've heard, God loves me. I've heard that a long time. But you got to hear it as if you're hearing the first time, then you're hearing it. Otherwise, you don't hear it. Otherwise, your ears hear it, but your heart doesn't hear it anymore. You got to get past that. We got to cut through it. Israel's the only country in the world, as far as I know, where the majority of children taught the parents how to speak the native language. Because there was no native language. So the children came back, all the parents came from all over the world. The children learned it in school and taught the parents how to speak. It says, a little child shall lead them. And in many ways, in the covenant, in the spiritual Israel of God, which is called the church, it is also the children which teach something that it's so good to be around new believers. New believers teach old believers how to stay new. Paul, first thing he did, he gets saved. And what's the first thing he saw? What's the first thing he saw when he got saved? He was blind. First thing he saw was Ananias. But Ananias was not his real name. Ananias was simply a translation of Hananiah. What does Hananiah mean? Hananiah means the grace of God. The first thing Paul saw when his eyes opened was the grace of God. And that surprise, only if you're surprised can you see the grace of God. When the grace of God stops surprising you, you don't see it anymore. The more you're used to it, hey, yeah, the grace of God, grace of God. No, grace of God is, Lord, I can't believe it. I can't believe how you did, but I'm accepting it. It totally makes no sense, but that you should forgive me, but I'm taking it, that I should be called your child, but I'm saying yes. The more you grow used to it, the less you see it. It's interesting. Interesting. You know, new believers see it, and we need to see it. But a lot of times old believers get blind to it. You know, Paul is writing later in Timothy, and he's writing about, it's near the end of his life. Now, he hasn't been a Pharisee for ages. He's a believer. He is the authority. If you had to choose one person on the planet who's the authority of God more than anyone else, it was Paul. He wrote more of the New Testament, more books of the New Testament than anybody else. Literally, the Bible. And so now it's the end of his life. And you think, well, he's ingrained, this is who I am. I'm Paul. I'm the apostle. But the end of his life, he says, I'm the greatest of sinners. God chose me because I was the least likely person. My whole life is grace, is what he's saying. And he speaks about the day he came to the Lord as if it was yesterday. And then the Lord, I was the worst of sinners, and God had mercy on me so he could tell everybody how his mercy is so great. It's like it was yesterday. He never forgot it. He reminded himself of the grace every day. I shouldn't be saved, but I am saved. That's the miracle. Years later, at the end of John's life, Yochanan, end of the apostle, they say he was the oldest one, the last one. And he writes in John, years later, generation later. I mean, his whole life when he didn't know the Lord is so far beyond. It's as if, hey, he doesn't know anything else. He could take it for granted. I'm a believer. But he writes, what kind of love is it? How great is this love of God that we should actually be called the children of God? That's what kept him alive in God. That's what keeps everyone alive in God. That's real faith. You know what real faith is? Real faith is you can hardly believe it, but you believe it anyway. That's the one.